We're live.
All right, we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the globe. Dr. Rob, it's a great day in God's paradise. It is the 15th of January, a Wednesday, as they say. It's hump day. It's a beautiful, beautiful, amazing day. Hope everyone's doing well. Great to see you. We got Ashran here on Instagram. What do we got? We got you on. We got Sandy, Cordelia, Papa Carnivore. Welcome. We got, let's see, Tammy, and of course, Dr. Nelson is in the house. We can send
good.
we can always get Dr. Nelson and send him a request maybe he should be joining my AMs here. Esther and Laszlo, Boros. We got to get Laszlo and Esther on for a 5 a.m. would be a good one. Talking about deuterium depletion, really important. George
Great.
V from Yorba Linda. Thank you. Sandy, good morning, all. I've got on the Mighty Tribe, I've got Leon, Nicoline, Anna, Harry, Emily, Paulette, Amy Perrin is in the house, Jonathan Fabe, Brother Ray, Michael Keene, and Brad. Awesome. Thank you for stopping in. It is the Mighty Hour, Superpower, 5 a.m. Crazy time for most people who are thinking, why is this guy live at 5 so early in the morning? Blue Max is here on, we got Instagram, we got YouTube, Facebook, and of course we have the Mighty Tribe. And I'm Dr. Rob Kiltz. I'm a fertility specialist, an OBGYN that focuses on positivity, mindset, carnivore, and ketovore, right? We want to talk more about our keto brothers and sisters to bring them in the house so that we can all do this together. And I personally went carnivore, best thing ever. Miss Lisa Wiedemann is in the house, carnivore doctor. Lisa, it's a great day in paradise, as she says. Miss Lisa, where's my light? Hold on. Don't go anywhere, brothers and sisters.
Hi, everybody.
Hold on.
We'll say hello. Good morning to feral grandmother, and then let's see.
Yeah, I got it. Miss Lisa sent me a gift because Kiltz was having some difficulty.
Hello, Lainey. Hello, Michael.
All right, maybe it's not here, Lisa. Maybe I did leave it at home.
Hello, Sandy.
Well, a great light, one of those amber lights so I can read better. So I was so grateful to her. Let's see, up since 3:30, retired, Sandy Blythe. Kiltz was up at 2:30 today. 2:30, crazy 2:30. Good morning, Carnivore Doctor. Awesome, Keith Strickler. Luckily, it's 11 a.m. in Norway. Nicoline Mervang. Awesome. I was watching Gary Brecka with JT, I can't remember his last name, Max or something like that.
Let me see. I have it somewhere.
I guess Gary Brecka broke up from the 10X, which I thought was very interesting. And we could talk more about that. But most important thing in life is Dr. Hampton is in the house.
I'm sorry if I sent you, if the link was confusing. I'm glad you're here.
Don't worry. There's nothing, Alia, that you can do to have a sense of not doing something right. You're always doing something right in my book.
Oh, thank you.
So you're good. No, we're good. I deal with technology and links and stuff all the time with my podcast. So hey, I'm happy to be here. Happy you guys got me up to start my day. Appreciate it. I'm gracious about that. Now, but I'm actually an early bird. I get up early anyway, so this is not too far from where I would have gotten up anyway. So I'm good.
Okay, good.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Dr. Tony Hampton, who to me is a superstar in the in the keto carnivore world, and he's here graciously at early time to share his knowledge, inspiration, and expertise on both of those areas. I met Dr. Hampton down in Costa Rica at oh my God.
I was healing, reverse.
Reverse TV
Reverse.
series.
That's right.
We both had in our brains.
That's right.
And the first time I met Dr. Hampton, and boy, really inspired by your knowledge, expertise, but you're far more calm than Kiltz is.
Yeah, it's actually probably who I've always been. I'm always the calm in a storm. Even me and my wife, where she's always like fiery and always responsive in a way that's different than mine. So I calm her, but she also makes me aware that sometimes you have to have a little fight behind you. So she's like my like Whitney Houston's bodyguard. She protects me. She's there to imagine seeing her at the car dealership. It's going to be a fight when we're negotiating. So I'm like, oh, we're good. They have to make money. She's like, no, they don't. We have to get a good deal. So she's been a gift, man, because she keeps me honest, and her caution is important. Even when you're talking about diet and lifestyle changes, let's be cautious. Let's have some data to support our decisions. And you need people in your life like that. And so it's good to have a world where people are a little different, so we can always bring something different to the table. And that's why I appreciate you, Dr. Kiltz, because you bring your whole spiritual perspective to the conversation in a way that others don't. Ali, I saw your recent video, your commercial for Carnivore, comparing it to Big Pharma. Alia brings her perspective, and I wouldn't have thought to do that. So I thought that was so we all bring perspective and a different approach, and that'll invite people who are more comfortable with that approach to engage. So I love that. So I'll always be the calm in the storm, my friend.
Well, tell us, maybe when we have both our Mighty Tribe on in a separate channel, we have our Instagram on a separate channel, and then we have our YouTube, Facebook, and I think that I was impressed in our meeting in Chicago the other day. You talked a lot about working within the standard healthcare system. And many people might say, well, we've got to break it up and blow it up. But I was very impressed and admire you in your calmness and fortitude in working with our brothers and sisters in standard healthcare systems and how we can improve that and work together. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, for me, we have I'm very when you think about Dr. Mark Cucuzzello, who I was fortunate to be at the metabolic-revolution.org rally with. I was fortunate to go and stand before the USDA and talk to them about ways to look at the dietary guidelines. He had to leave his health system because his health system said, how dare you as a doctor talk about nutrition, just like Dr. Georgia Ede had to leave Harvard. So what's different is that I'm in a health system which is not necessarily speaking the language I'm speaking, but they allow doctors to do their thing. Now they still will be disappointed if I don't put a person on a statin, right? But they allow me to do that. So if I were to think about what that looks like for me in Chicago on the South Side, the first part is what I want to see. First of all, we were given a gift of a $1 million investment on the South Side of Chicago in a community where that hospital, Advocate Trinity, does not make really money. And people in the community don't realize that in certain populations, particularly when you're relying on Medicaid, it's hard to break even. It's hard to make money. You have to be, and I know you've done a great job, Dr. Kiltz, of providing access to fertility care at a more affordable cost. So imagine a health system saying, you know what? Not only are we not going to walk away from the South Side of Chicago, we're going to invest in the South Side of Chicago. So our CEO, Eugene Wood, who wrote a book about equitable care, which is very unusual for a health system to have a CEO that cares about that. He, along with others, are behind this effort. And so what does that mean? Well, number one, you have to teach the population how to heal. And we know in our world, in this low carb, keto and carnivore world, that it's all about achieving metabolic health. That's why I call myself the metabolic health doctor. And so if we can educate the public, educate our patients and the community that if you address metabolic health, you address 70 to 80% of all so-called, I always say so-called because I think most of these illnesses are not like our destiny. These so-called medical conditions like diabetes and cancer and dementia can be addressed by achieving metabolic health, but not just because we're carnivore or we're doing keto, but because we're moving our bodies. We're managing the south side of Chicago stress, because if you live on the south side of Chicago in certain communities, there's a lot of stress. There's a reason why there's a 30-year age gap between a community called Inglewood, which is a 60-year life expectancy, compared to Streeterville, downtown Chicago, which has a 90-year.
Wow.
It's a 9-mile difference, but it will
Crazy.
be a 30-year gap, right? So you can't know that and not want to educate people. And so part of it is making sure people understand what metabolic health is and that diet is the way to do it. The other part is equity, meaning that you think a lot of people in the world doesn't know about keto and carnivore, but in communities of color, it's even worse. I mean, think about it, Dr. Kiltz. When we went to our Chicago meetup, you didn't see a lot of Black folk there, right? So you just don't, right? I mean, it may have been like
absolutely.
3 people. So we need to get to the communities. We need to make this information equitably known, so that people in communities of color, as well as all of us, because we want everybody to heal, to know this information. And then we need to make sure there's access to care. So if you live in a food desert, many of the areas in the south side are food deserts, you need to have access to that. We now have pharmacy deserts, because a lot of the pharmaceuticals, the Walgreens and the CVSs, are leaving these communities. Now, what we're going to do as we take this $1 billion, we're going to have 10 sites of care, not in the traditional sense. It's going to be embedded. I was speaking at a YMCA yesterday. Guess what? We're going to have clinics in the YMCA. We're going to have clinics in the local church. We're going to have clinics in the community centers. So we're going to go where the people are, so they'll get access to care. Now, this is the most important part, which is where we come in our model. And when I say we, I'm talking about doctors like myself and you, Dr. Kiltz, and Alia. We understand that we need to make sure you won't go to the hospital and you won't heal unless you do the things that we talk about in these channels, on all of our channels. So my job is to help the health system stay. It's not about statins, not about making sure they saw the eye doctor. Of course, those things are important, but we want to make sure, for those who believe in stats, let me caveat that, because I trimmed. But my whole point is we do it through that. And I think that that's what we're going to do on the South Side. And then with that model, now people can heal. Now people can restore their faith in healthcare. And they shouldn't have to go to a 4 a.m. for me, maybe 5 for you guys, live stream to learn this stuff. They should learn it from their doctors. They should learn it from their pharmacists, their nutrition professionals, and others. So that's why I'm going to do my best to make this happen, not just in Illinois where we're located, but we're in 6 states. And I want to be able to bring this message to all 6 states. Let Advocate Health model what's right. And then maybe other health systems will model what's right. I want them to be so jealous of us that they'll say, I want to do what they're doing over there. And I want to reduce the cost of care. And I want to deprescribe medicines. And I want to take that model. And then that way we'll save us. Elon Musk is talking about cutting money, right? Well, we can cut some money in healthcare if we focus on metabolic health. Elon Musk would be so proud of us. He'd probably put us on the health committee just to keep cutting costs. So I'm so fired up, boy. It's not even 4 a.m. anymore. I feel so fired up just talking about this,
I love it. I love it,
man.
Well, so we all have our cultural differences.
Absolutely.
I grew up in an Italian home, and obviously we have to look at our cultures and differences. Is there a way we can help in a cultural way? And that's, I think, what you're saying a little bit in modifying this. You have to be carnivore, you have to be keto, you have to do one meal a day, you have to do this. So in a sense, I think what we need to be doing, what you're saying is, let's find a way in where you're at to meld with that culture in a sense.
Yeah, when we met in the community last night, it was myself, a vice president for community health, and the president of the two hospitals that are going to be impacted, which is Advocate Trinity and Advocate South Suburban. And I'll be honest, it was like going to a meeting where the mayor of Los Angeles was being, talked to from the community, and people, they're excited about what we're talking about, but they don't trust us yet. And then in their life, well, you don't, are you from the community? Do you understand the community? The reality is, yes, the president is from the community, Dr. Hampton's from the community, and the vice president for community health is all from the community. But we look so polished. So the first part is you have to earn their trust. And you have to, and what one of the gentlemen who was there, he said that some people perceive the hospital we're replacing and building a new one for as not the hospital to go to. So sometimes you have to be honest and say, you know what, we understand you don't think this is a hospital to go to, but guess what? That's why we're going to invest $1 billion, because we believe you deserve better. We want you to perceive this hospital that we're building, as well as one of our sister hospitals, Advocate Christ, as well as Northwestern, as well as University of Chicago, as well as Rush. And so I think part of it is to be empathetic to the audience you're speaking to, and just make sure they understand that you are hearing them, as well as we're going to actually have a lot of the 1,000 jobs that are needed. We need to make sure those people are from the community. So when people are in the hospital, rather it's the person who's doing security, the person who's the nurse, the person, I want them to see people they know from the community. And then so that some of that trust building will occur. So some of it is just understanding that they need to see people that they relate to and that they trust. And then you incorporate the cultural aspects. In other words, if I give a low carb or keto or carnivore menu to people, sometimes I'll tweak it and say, appropriate for an African American, appropriate for a Latin American, appropriate. And that way they'll tweak the menu, ChatGPT, et cetera, will tweak the menu to at least consider those things. Because if you don't honor somebody's background, culture, family values, then you're not going to build trust. You're not going to build rapport. And they need to see foods that are inclusive of that. And so that's what I try to speak to. Last thing I'll say, Doc and Alia, why do you think I was in the community last night with this crowd of people talking about it? Wasn't to, hey, we're doing something great for the community and talking. It was the opposite. We literally broke them up into groups and said, okay, we've given you some information. This is our vision. What do you think? What should be better? You have to assume that the clinic on this corner is going to be different than the clinic on that corner. And the needs may be different. So I need to hear from the people. What do you think? Tell me how to help you. And I will coach and walk with you, but I need you to be my coach and walk with me as well. So that's how I do it. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Mm-hmm. I want to be somebody that has a certain expertise, and then I want my audience to help lead us, because if we do it that way, the chances that they'll follow through and do what you want them to do will be much greater. So again, that calm, level tone is partly helping me to hear other people. If a 5-year-old comes to me and says something intriguing, I'm going to write that down. I want to know I want to know the perspective of a 5-year-old, and then I want to know the perspective of a 100-year-old. And guess what? If a vegan walk in the office, I want to know their perspective. I want to learn from everybody so we can live in harmony. We deserve to live in a world where we're mutually respected, but we also have to fill knowledge gaps and just hear each other. So I think if we do that, people will be inspired.
I was reading an article written by a family practice doctor that said, "Where have all the doctors gone?"
Hmm.
And a lot of doctors are closing shop,
Mm.
and and it's a changing environment.
Hmm.
We're seeing many more nurse practitioners, physician assistants, extenders.
Mm-hmm.
And what are your thoughts on how we, do we need more doctors? Do we need more healthcare practitioners? Or do we need more in the community healthcare concepts and support that include those things but aren't separate? And partly I see what we're doing in social media as embracing the our community to give them the knowledge and the tools to be their own doctors, practitioners, etc. Do you have any
Yeah.
thoughts on kind of where you see the future going? How do we give more knowledge to more people so they can make a decision? So when you're talking about whether to take a statin or
Mm-hmm.
this drug versus this other concept, and I just one other thing, because I find quite often I'm saying, well, here are all the surgical procedures, the drugs you can use,
Mm-hmm.
or the dietary lifestyle change you can do. And I find a lot of people aren't jumping on to the nutritional lifestyles, but let's go here.
Yeah. Well, we do like results. So if I'm a person who comes to the doctor with a problem, it is hard to not want to get the Ozempic or the Wegovy or the, Zepbound, because I look at my girlfriend down the street. She's lost, 50 pounds. And I can try to scare them with the side effects. I can say, oh, it can cause gastric paralysis. Your risk for suicide is higher. Your risk for pancreatitis is higher. Your risk for thyroid cancer is higher. Half the weight loss is from your muscle, not just fat. Oh, by the way, the retinopathy and the macular edema you're trying to prevent with diabetes, and actually you have a higher risk of that with the Ozempic. I can say all of that, but she's like, but my girlfriend just lost 50 pounds and she didn't have any of those problems. So what I try to do, and today is my obesity clinic, by the way, at Advocate Health. I do that on Wednesdays. I always say, okay, we're at a fork in the road, and when we're at the fork in the road, we have a choice. One is the lifestyle road ahead, and the other is medication. And I'll make sure they know that 80% of people who get off of Ozempic, Wegovy, et cetera, will regain the weight back. And I say to them, but that's true for diet too. If you do keto or carnivore and you stop doing it, you may regain the weight back. Maybe not as dramatic as Ozempic. So no matter what choice you choose, there are consequences of not doing it. But the other benefits of the dietary pattern is that the dietary pattern, you'll feel like $1,000,000, and one of the reasons why getting up early in the morning is not too hard is because I'm just my mental clarity is so strong now. My energy level is so strong now. And you're just a different type of animal. It's like that movie, I think it was called Limitless, and you took a freaking pill and all of a sudden you were like a superhuman. And people say, nah, that can't be true. Nah, you can't have a diet where you don't feel hungry. Nah, it's not possible to not feel tired after lunch. Amen.
Mhm.
There you go. So listen, yes, you can. I don't want to sound like Obama. Yes, you can. You can feel this way. And guess what happens? It's not just going to be good for one of the videos I'm working on, Alia, is about, the 5 myths that have kept doctors from recommending keto. And the reason why I make it, just like doctors listen up video, right? He made a video sometimes you have to speak to people and say, do you want to continue to be in a world where 500 doctors commit suicide every year? Well, that's the statistic for America. Yeah. 500 doctors commit suicide every year because they're burnt out. But if just imagine though, they went to work and they deprescribe medicines more than they prescribe medicines. That's the world I live in. I live in a world where even just yesterday, I'm deprescribing. I'm taking people off medicine. Wouldn't you feel like a better doctor if you did that?
Mhm. Yeah.
So and people are healing and they're looking at you like you're walking on water. I do not walk on water. I'm not that special, but I can just give you some tools to help you do better. So I'm really feeling like if we can live in a world where the clinicians are not burnt out and they are actually healing people and people can trust us to help them do that, that's the world that we can live in. And in that world, things are going to be much better. Doctors are not going to be, walking away from this profession. In fact, they'll be, encouraging their babies to get into this profession. So that's what I'm seeing. I love what I do. I love sharing on YouTube as well, but I don't go to work every day feeling like, oh, I got to go to work. I go to work saying, man, I can't wait to hear another story of healing. And that's what's possible, but my colleagues have not experienced that. So my job is to go on the rooftop, yell it, scream it, say this is possible, and then say, okay, guys, you don't have to be board certified in obesity medicine, have a master's in nutrition like me. No, you just need to know the basic concepts, and then we have to have a health system that can refer people from the doctor who may not know this as well to the support they need. And so the biggest thing is the coaching and support, which is kind of what you guys are doing on this platform. You're coaching and supporting people so that people who may have a day of struggle, maybe they'll now start their day feeling a little different because they heard a message that was shared. That's what the world, because you're going to struggle if you're on the planet. If you wake up and think, okay, I can't wait for things to be perfect, then you might as well not wake up because it's not going to be perfect. All you can ask for is for the guidance to help you get through struggle. And hopefully the next time you face that same struggle, it'll be easier because you faced it before. And then you may mentor somebody else who's struggling. So struggle to me is an opportunity. It's an opportunity. And I love that struggle is part of life. So that's kind of how I see it. That's the lens I try to bring to my patients and my family.
I always say that hardship builds a strong ship, and we're built for hard. But we're not here for easy at all.
Mm-mm.
And the struggles are critical in life. And perfect is a mindset. And when you believe the variety and the change is all part of the perfect nature of God's world and God's way. I think that's kind of I look at it. And one of the challenges in our health system is in hospitals, in our memory care systems and our recovery systems, rehab systems. The diets that we're being fed are so full of sugars and plant-based and lean meat, 3 meals a day plus some snacks. What are some of the things that we can do to sort of make the changes? And is it the frequency? Is it what we're eating? Maybe you could touch base on your sort of methodology in keto and carnivore and sort of hopes for the future.
It's we'll be we spend Wednesday afternoons, me and my wife, visiting her dad, whose dementia is advanced. And and everything you just said was the reason why we went to the USDA, because we know that these are supposedly guidelines that they give the healthcare systems and the nursing homes and the schools and the military, but they're really not guidelines in the eyes of these institutions. These are rules. So therefore, they recommend that you feed the communities these things. So if you go into his nursing home, you will absolutely find snacks between every meal, and they're always processed food that's sugary and the opposite of what a person with dementia needs. You'll find that the pasta and the and the breads and the other things that they're feeding this group is the opposite. And then they wonder why they're so sluggish after they eat. And then they wonder why they're a little foggier in their mind than they would have been otherwise. So I think the knowledge of what metabolic health looks like is just not well known. It's certainly not known in the institutions that help feed people. So that's why when you think of the concept of a metabolic revolution, we need it, because the knowledge is still living in the old paradigm. And when people realize that dementia, as an example, is type 3 diabetes, that's the term they've coined, and that the worst thing you can do for a person with dementia is to feed them these processed foods, then we're gonna then realize, well, what is the best way to feed a person with dementia? And then you realize, well, it's mostly fat, by the way. Ketones, your brain loves ketones. It's neuroprotective. It protects the nerve. It protects the brain. So if I feed a person a high fat, a ribeye, some ground beef, they're likely to help nourish the brain. It's a cleaner fuel source, and our brains are so magnificently made, because your brain will, the blood-brain barrier will say, okay, stop bringing all that glucose into me, because I have to, in the mitochondria, process it. And when I process it, it's going to create the same kind of dirty fuel you see at the factory. So when I stop letting the glucose come in, my brain starts to shrink. And all of those railroad tracks of electrical activity that helps my brain work, well, the railroad track gets kind of messed up, because it's shrinking and it's messing up the railroad track, so my brain won't function properly. But there's an answer, which is the ketones that we can get from eating the proper human diet. The keto and carnivore diet can get into that brain, bypass that blood-brain barrier, and provide the only other alternative fuel source. And if I do that, now that person with cognitive decline will start to feel less of that cognitive decline. They'll stop building up all of that debris that you can't seem to get rid of. And think about the average person with dementia. They're barely sleeping at night. They're roaming. So their brain never has time to not build up those plaques and tangles that you see commonly with Alzheimer's dementia. So once we relearn in a different way, our clinicians, that it's not the tangles and plaques that are the problem. We can make all of these expensive medicines that don't work because we're focused on the plaques and tangles, just like we focus on cholesterol. We can focus on the body's reaction to inflammation. But if we focus on why they have inflammation in the first place, then we have the formula for some people. If you have early dementia, you can actually start to reverse that cognitive decline. And what a gift to a family who's watching their family member decline, saw other family members decline, and they think it's inevitable that that's what the outcome is going to be, let alone what's going to happen to them down the road. Imagine the hope that's restored when you give them another way. And that's kind of what I love about being a metabolic doc, is that I restore hope. So that person with type 2 diabetes who was told 10 years ago, you'll be on insulin forever, is off insulin within a few months.
Wow.
Hope restored.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, let's restore hope. I've been on blood pressure medicines forever. Well, guess what? You're not on that one anymore, because we're going off of that one today because you've been following this lifestyle. So I can't express to you how good it feels to help restore hope. And you can take a model like a nursing home, and it requires a complete rebranding of a model. So when we do this South Side thing of Chicago, we're going to have clinics, not just embedded in the community, but where people are learning how to stay healthy with these types of approaches. And that's going to be, and we're going to just imagine going to a clinic, and you may see going back to the types of clinicians, we may have a nurse practitioner in a place where we have the technology, or even we can have the community people who live in a community, help question people so that we know what are the barriers. Are you having access to food issues? Are you having issues with just transportation to the clinic? We figure out where they struggle. Oh, by the way, we got a food pharmacy, so we can help feed you. Did you not know that? Oh, but there's another pantry right around the corner for you. Did you not know that? So what we do is we connect them with the resources they need. And instead of having a pharmacy desert, we'll have, literally, imagine a vending machine filled with medicine instead of filled with Doritos. And for the medicines that are appropriate for that person, they don't have to go to the local pharmacy anymore. They can go to the vending machine to get their medicine. And we'll have someone else in the room that can we can use technology to help. Let's look at the ear. Maybe that clinician is virtual, but the device is going to let the clinician look in the ear through the virtual visit. So what we have to do is use technology and use the community to be part of this journey. And maybe a guy like me or you or Alia are doing a Zoom meeting, and we're teaching every week, a place where people can gather just like here, and they can learn and learn and grow and grow. And then they can walk to their neighbor and say, oh my God, I'm healing. I take 2 of the medicines I was on, I'm off now. And then people start to say, oh my God, there's a health system that gets it. I didn't have to go to Dr. Ken Berry's video. I learned it from the clinic. And we want Dr. Ken Berry to keep making videos, but we want people to also have a health system. So it's been really exciting to know that there is a model out there, but it's going to take, it takes more than just this vision. You have to understand what the community needs are. Each person in front of you may have a different need. Provide the access. You don't have to be able to solve the problem. You just got to know how to solve the problem, or that there are solutions in the community that can help people. You have to partner with the community so that they are part of the story. If you're building a hospital, get one of the local construction companies in that same community to help build the hospital. Do things like that in partnership so everybody feels like they're part of it. It's almost like taking a picture. If you take a picture, let's just say at that meetup we had, Doc, in Chicago this past weekend, and if I took a picture of just a portion of that audience, right, and I put that on display somewhere, that would be great. But what about the people who weren't in the picture? They're going to be pissed. They want to be seen, man. People want to be heard. They want to be seen. And I need to make sure that if I take a picture, that I include everybody. Everybody wants to have their voice heard, their perspective heard. And if I'm really good at my job, I'm going to then use that perspective to then help further what we're trying to achieve. So I think that's how I look at it. And again, I remember when Ross Perot ran for president, he said, I'm all ears. Well, Dr. Hampton, I'm all ears. I want to hear everybody's perspective. And then we can create that nursing home, that hospital that does what we think they should be doing.
And the hope is that we need fewer of these places so people can be healthier, and the keto carnivore concepts. And I'm thinking maybe we should approach it to our clients as a therapeutic keto carnivore.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, oh, you got to change your life forever, we start them maybe an idea that here's a therapeutic idea, because that's what keto really began with, is therapy for both epilepsy and type 1 diabetes. But we approach it as, hey, you need 30 days of carnivore, no plants in your diet. Make sure we add extra fat.
That's right.
And maybe we need we know it's there in some way, but the 30 days, maybe that would be an approach.
Yeah. Well, who did you design our new health system, Dr. Kiltz? Because that's it. Dr. Kiltz, you should have told me, man. You're so sneaky. So we call it ambulatory care forward, meaning ambulatory is where the care is being done. And for those who don't understand that language, ambulatory means in the clinic, right? So you'll learn how to heal in the clinic. And if there's $1 billion, but only 300 million goes towards building a hospital, the other 700 million goes towards keeping people out of the hospital. So one of the questions that came up last night was, but why are you only building a 50-bed hospital? The last hospital had 200 beds, because we're going to make the assumption that if we do this well, and we do have more square feet of land that we can build upon, if we need to. The assumption is that we're not going to need those beds like we have in the past, because we're going to keep people out of the hospital. So we're doing exactly what you're saying, Doc, in that we're trying to create a model where we keep people out of the hospital. Who really wants to go to the hospital? The only time I want you to go to the hospital is to do that orthopedic surgery that you need, and you maybe go for a day, and you probably won't even spend the night, and then you go home. We want a model where that's the norm, and it's not normal to spend a week in the ICU because you're healthy. So that is exactly the vision I see. And actually, when given opportunities to lead, which is why I'm a healthcare leader as well, my goal is to go back to the Dr. Kiltz of the world, to go back to the metabolicrevolution.org members of the world, to go back to the American Diabetes Society that we created recently, and say, hey guys, hey low carb community, hey keto carnivore community, we're doing some great things in Chicago. If you were in my shoes, what would you do? What would you want me not to miss out on implementing or trying to implement? That's because we have so many talented people who can add to this. And then we go to the community and say, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think? And then we let the community guide our decisions. So I do think that if people knew what we knew, I mean, another video I just made that I think I'll release today or tomorrow talks about the benefits of meat. People still come to the clinic saying, Doc, you'll be proud of me. I'm cutting back on meat. They just have heard it so many times. And sometimes even when I'm eating my ribeye and see all that fat, I'm like, is this okay? Because I spent 8 years as a vegetarian, and my mind is still, living in that space. It's hard to see a high cholesterol for a carnivore and not to worry. So we have to really keep putting science in front of people, keep inspiring them and saying there's many ways to measure success. And it looks like you're doing really well with those other measures. But the education is going to be key. So I think it's funny that your vision is so aligned with a lot of the things we're trying to do.
You're doing them.
Amen.
I see you guys are doing them. And it really is important for everyone listening to come on board and share with your brothers and sisters, because the only way we're going to heal humanity is to do this ourselves. And maybe our problem is expecting the government and the doctors and everyone else to heal us. But in fact, we're the only ones that can do this.
That's right.
Would you say that carnivore is the ultimate elimination diet? And would you recommend it as sort of the top of the line, yet, and it too is a keto diet, I guess. And keto is certainly something that everyone could do also, but keto is like, wow, I've never felt better in my life.
I think for me, now everything has caveat, right? So does everybody on the planet need to be a carnivore? Probably not. My wife is ketovore, so it's kind of like Ken Berry. I'm Ken Berry, and my wife is Nisha. We're in the same house, but yet we tend to follow that approach. But yes, do I think carnivore is the perfect elimination diet? Yeah, because you're removing the things that can harm my irritable bowel. You're removing those grains and those seed oils and highly processed foods and sugars, which all lead to inflammation. They're just gone. And when you do that and you reduce the lectins, those anti-nutrients, those oxalates and glutens and plant toxins, your body is like, thank you. I was so desperate and waiting for you to do this for me. Finally, you got the memo that the plants are trying to kill you, as Dr. Shavy would say. and then I would say, why is it a good diet? Because it's nutrient dense. I mean, who would think that eating only a diet which is carbs, which is a non-essential nutrient, is more logical than eating a diet with the essential amino acids, protein, essential fatty acids, fat? So any logical person, you don't have to have a master's in nutrition to know that that's logical. Eat the nutrients, the macronutrients that are essential. Oh, by the way, when you do that, you're eating the most bioavailable sources of vitamins and minerals. I don't have to worry about being a vegan who has to supplement with vitamin B12 anymore, or potentially with iron, because I'm only getting 2% of the iron in spinach, and I get 40% of the iron in my animal protein. Don't have to worry about things like zinc and selenium, which are more bioavailable in an animal-based diet. I don't have to worry about that omega-3 that I need for my brain, because I'm eating the salmon, which is going to have that, as opposed to relying on plant sources of omega-3, which are very insufficient. Other than algae, it's going to be kind of hard to get that. I'm going to have more vitamin D and vitamin K2 in an animal-based diet, or choline for my liver. So it's so much easier to improve my metabolic health when I eliminate the number one cause in my mind of poor metabolic health, which is excessive carbs. So the closer to zero carbs I get, the better I'm going to feel. And yeah, people still look at me and say, man, you're never hungry. Well, when you eat a lot of protein and fat in particular, you're not going to be hungry. So I can do Dr. Andres Einfeld's approach, which is to eat high satiety foods with his new hava.co website, or I can just be a carnivore and not have to worry about high satiety anything, because animal protein is high satiety. And when I became board certified in obesity medicine, I learned about hormones like leptin and ghrelin, which are hormones that are responsible for, hunger and being full. And I've learned that if I eat this way, those hormones improve naturally. I learned that my gut was okay on plant-based, got better on low carb, got even better on keto. But man, if you wanted to ask my gut, what's the best diet for you? It would say carnivore, because when I'm carnivore, there is no irritable bowel. But when I deviate, even if I drink coffee because I'm very sensitive, which is from a plant, even that makes my irritable bowel flare. But now the inflammation is gone. And now my mental health is better. And I'm not the person who came in 400 pounds. If you looked at me before all of this, you wouldn't know the difference. But what you didn't know is that every time, I kind of said this when I spoke at the meetup, Doc, I said, normally I would walk into a hotel and the first thing I would ask is not where the meeting is, but where's the bathroom?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And I don't have to ask that question anymore. When I went to the meeting last night, didn't even think about the bathroom.
And if you think about it, of all the challenges for people, it's their excretion issues, right? Whether it's urination or defecation, were tremendously inflamed in the bladder and the bowels. And our ability to hold our bowels and our bladder is nearly impossible. And the real cause seems to be inflammation, secondary to a high plant, low animal fat diet, and eating like a grazing animal 3 to 6 times a day.
I know.
And so, I don't even, I'm wondering if we should eliminate the word carbohydrates and utilize the concept of plants versus animal eating, because that's the simplicity of the story. And I don't even know what a carbohydrate or protein really is, but everyone knows what fat is.
Yeah.
And we're all fat phobic. How can we change the world? And I say that obesity causes no disease. It's not the cause.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're skinny in a famine, you're fertilizer fast. And so, but it's hard to change people's sort of concept that fat on your body and eating fat isn't bad for you.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. We for my obesity clinic, I have a in-body, body a weight scale which will measure the body composition. Just got that in, and we were playing with it just yesterday, and even the doctor. I work out 2 or 3 times a week, and I think my fat was probably around 22% or so. I kind of thought it would be lower, but the whole point of it is this: it doesn't need to be lower. I mean, we're so afraid of fat, whether it's on our body or if it's in our diet. And the reality is, I'm a pretty metabolically healthy guy. But so we get you have to be a little careful about all these data things we measure. And even with the dietary fat, like, we know that fat doesn't make you fat, but you mentioned the gallbladder, and the gallbladder needs a little fat to keep it working so it doesn't build up fat, right? Or build up bile in your gallbladder. So if you want to not form gallstones, you better make sure there's some fat in your diet. So low-fat diets actually can increase your risk for gallstones. We need a little fat, so we can't be so afraid of the thing that's helping us. And guess what? Fat is one of the things that really helps us to have a healthy digestive system. It helps to keep moving things along. And I just really feel that carnivore helps address that. It reduces inflammation, addresses insulin resistance. And I just feel like fat is our friend. And it's the only macronutrient, when you look at any graph, where it doesn't really raise your glucose or insulin. So if anything, we should be doing better.
Well, interesting. There's a simplicity to this, because when you eat fat, it doesn't go to the liver; it goes to the lymphatics.
Right.
When you eat sugars or protein, lean meat or plants, it goes to the liver. Insulin goes up because insulin's job is to convert amino acids and sugars in the liver to fat, because your body wants fat. So you're going to eat it or make it. But wouldn't you say that a typical diet has little to no fat in it? Because it's fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, nuts, and lean meat. There's no fat in that.
Right.
And that's what we're being asked to feed the population. And that formula has not worked. And I remember at the meeting, I think you referenced the rabbit
Starvation.
And you get that not from eating fatty meat, you get it from eating meat that doesn't have fat. So eating lean meat, particularly if you relied on animal protein primarily, can actually make you sick. So when you're on this journey and you're eating animal based, it's really important that you don't be afraid of fat, that you embrace fat, and that's why we consider carnivore a keto diet, because it's high in fat, and that's okay. And you'll see many people in this community who may not. In fact, one of the gentlemen I met at the meeting last night, who I had not met, part of the construction team for the hospital, and this is what's beautiful about this, and it's why I was so gracious to say, of course, I'll be happy to spend some time with you guys. I did not know this gentleman. He said, I've been following you for a couple of years. And he said that he had lost 150 pounds. Now, you look at it, and I said, could you show me a before picture? And when you see a before picture for some folk, they literally don't even look like the same person. I mean, it just blows your mind. So guys, it is so important that we spend our energy. What I love about YouTube and things like that is that if we mentioned Dr. Richard Bernstein during the meeting. If I'm 92 years old like him, he still has a YouTube channel. I can spread this message at 92, 93, 94, 95, and I can spread it until I have my last breath. And maybe there'll be somebody when I'm 92, if I'm gracious enough, if I'm blessed to have that many years, who will come to me at a conference and say, yeah, I've been following your old butt for years. And I've seen some healing. And it's like an amazing butterfly effect to know that somebody in India or Australia or China or Japan will hear our voices and heal. So we've been given a great time to do this work because of technology. And technology will help us spread our wings, get the message out, and then there will be other butterflies created. And those other butterflies will then spread their wings, because before I started doing this, I was inspired by doctors like you, Dr. Kiltz. Before Alia started doing that, she was inspired by others. And the wings are spreading, not just outside of our homes, but I know you got some little people in your home, right, Ali?
Yep, they're sleeping right next door.
There you go. Amen. That's right. They better be. So we will allow them to have wings. And this is, I'll say this without saying too much. My oldest son, Brandon, believe it or not, will be moving soon to California, San Diego, to work with he's in marketing. And guess what the marketing group markets? They market metabolic health.
Oh, great.
So my wings have impacted my baby's wings. And now they're going to maybe in some ways do even more than I'm doing to help spread this message in a slightly different way. So this is the gift of being open to new information, changing your life, because we had to do it personally first, helping others change, and then finding new ways to get the message out. It is so exciting to know that we are in this position and that so many more people will be healing. So 5-10 years from now, we'll have so many stories. We'll have so much more research, and we'll allow people to be in the lane they need to be in. Do I believe carnivore is the best lane? Of course I do. But if I have some keto folk on board, I have some low carb people on board, and I may even have a Mediterranean low carb. I may even have a plant-based low carb, but I just want to make sure people in those other lanes understand there's a way to do those lanes that's much more effective. And then you listen to your body and you start to eliminate things that your body doesn't want in it. So yeah, I'm excited, Doc. I'm maybe I'm a little too optimistic, but that's how I was made. And I was made to see things as the glass is half full. And I will continue to do that, while my wife will remind me that at times it's half empty.
Well, I would say Jesus Christ was our superstar of positivity and bring hope and love to everyone around the globe. And I think that we need to carry the torch. Yeah. That is so important for all of us. And I think what we're realizing is this is what healthcare really is.
Yes.
Healthcare is not the system that we were sort of invited into and grasped onto. We're realizing that it's a whole game changer today. I was listening to Gary Brecka yesterday, kind of really talked about just whole foods. right? Get out in nature and sunlight, right? And connect with people in a positive way. That's what we need to be thinking about doing every single day. And we know that our bread and beer lifestyle and our recommendations by our healthcare system that basically is giving us the wrong thing. We know it, and our job as doctors, nutritionists, health coaches is to inspire and change the paradigm for our brothers and sisters and spread more wings out there.
That's
right? Hatch more eagles. And
the eagles, they're like lions and fly. What are those eagles called? The flying, like lionesses that are eagles? Never mind. I'll find it.
I get into my office. It looks early today. I always get here about 4:00 in the morning. And one of my favorite books is Mine is the Master by James Allen, which really is all based on a lot of the New Testament work. But the Temple of Brotherhood is one of his chapters. And just a quick, universal brotherhood is the supreme ideal of humanity. And toward that ideal, the world is slowly but surely moving. He wrote this 100+ years ago. And we know these are the words of humans thousands of years ago. We really care about our communities. And if something's wrong, we want to be the change and bring the inspiration that Dr. Tony Hampton is sharing with all of us. So
yeah, well, it's been a gift to just spending time with you guys. It warms my soul. Just like when the patient comes to me, so excited to share their scale numbers, so excited to share their A1C numbers, so excited to just give me their testimony. And I'll never get bored with that. And sometimes it's like hearing it for the very first time. Sometimes you're still amazed that this stuff works. So I want that for every clinician, every doctor, every nutrition professional. And I really am just grateful that my path crossed with this metabolic, low carb, keto, and carnivore community. And I am just overjoyed because of that. And I want to be clear that me being on your platform, me, hanging out with the steak and butter gal periodically and others has enriched my life and my soul. So I want people to understand that the doc needs it as much as you may think you need it. And we all have to be holding on to each other. And that's the kind of world we want to live in. And that's why my tone is always to embrace people on the other side of the aisle, because nobody is doing this to not be healthy. They're doing it because they think what they have discovered is the best way to get there. And our job is to say it may be. And if it's working, hang in there. If it's not working, maybe we can help guide you to some approaches that'll be more effective for you. But it's all a big experiment. And what Dr. Kiltz has to do to be healthy may be slightly different than me. But as long as we're walking towards our true north, which is metabolic health, then we're okay. And as long as we can end our lives knowing that we've done our best to get there, then we're okay. So I really appreciate you guys for just allowing me to be part of this.
Praise God, and thank you for being here, Dr. Tony Hampton. And how do people connect with you on a regular basis?
Well, I always encourage people. I've been putting a lot of energy into the YouTube channel lately. So if they just do at Dr. Tony Hampton on YouTube. I also have a link tree. So if they search Linktree Dr. Tony Hampton, they'll see a link to not only a YouTube channel, but a nice video I did with the Black Carnivore, A-Day Fox. I know she's not active right now, but how to do carnivore, how to do low carb, videos about hypertension and how that's a sugar problem as well. So I encourage you guys to check that out. The video shorts are what I've learned that you got to get people's attention. So 10 reasons to avoid meat in 2025 was a way for me to, why would a carnivore do that? But I was just trying to honor the fact that you have people who are Hindu, you have people who are grew up vegetarian, and we have to honor that. We can't just demonize people because they do it a different way. And so there may be reasons to do a diet where you don't eat meat, but my job is to provide cover for people who have discovered that that's a great way to heal. So thank you for that, Doc. I appreciate that.
We have so much to uncover. We're going to have to do it another day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so go to Dr. Tony Hampton and learn so much on how we all could work together.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's it.
Together. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You're
All
so
right.
welcome.
God bless everyone.
Yes. Yeah, we got to go, don't we?
Well, I got a 6 o'clock client, and I know it's early. It's 5 there. I start seeing patients at 6 a.m. here.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
we got to go. We got to go. I just want to say,
I got
Open me
patients.
up.
I got to go, but I'm telling you, this we had so much fun in Chicago. I'm coming back there. We're going to go to Gibson Steakhouse, or
Absolutely.
another one,
I'll be there, man.
and do that. So, all
That's
right,
cool.
everyone.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.